It's time for this season's final edition of Inside Notre Dame Football, presented by TireRack.com. I'm your host, Tony Simeone, joined as always by the head coach, Marcus Freeman. Coach, a win's a win. Anytime you get it done, that's reason for celebration. You're now 7-3. What did this win over Navy teach you about your team?
They're resilient. You know, we started fast, and which was a challenge that I had for them. To come out of the locker room ready to go, and they did that. And in the second half, we wanted to finish the game with urgency, and we didn't do that. But somehow, some way, we found a way to execute, and we found a way to win, and we learned some valuable lessons during that game. And there's no better feeling for a head coach to be able to have those examples of ways we have to improve, but do it with a win.
What are the examples? What are the ways you're trying to improve now as you get set for the final two games of the season?
Well, the execution of two halves, and you know, Navy's defensive plan wasn't that much different in the second half than it was the first half, but our execution wasn't where it needed to be offensively and defensively. You know, the ability for them on the first drive of the second half to, you know, have a 16-play drive and take 10 minutes off the clock, it doesn't help our offense at all. They're sitting in the locker room. I mean, they're sitting on the sidelines ready to go out there and play, and then we got to respond. You know, we can't get the ball tipped, we can't get interceptions, but defensively, the ability to respond in a sudden change situation, all those situations are so valuable. To have two-point plays that were live. You know, you practice them all the time in practice, but to do them in a game situation, those were all situations that we'll utilize.
Coach, appreciate it. We'll step aside, and when we come back, we'll break down the entire game between Notre Dame and Navy on this week's edition of Inside Notre Dame Football, presented by TireRack.com. Welcome back to Inside Notre Dame Football, presented by TireRack.com. It's now time for this week's game breakdown. Coach, I want to start with this. You're playing Navy on the day after Veterans Day out there in Baltimore. Great environment, but obviously very symbolic to get to play the Naval Academy in this environment. What did that mean to you as the head coach of Notre Dame for the first time?
Well, it's a special rivalry, one that you know, dates back so long and was built off of a relationship and built off of a agreement. And you know what? It's special. And you know, to be able to face those guys that will continue to serve our country, that will do great things for our country was something special. And obviously for me, my father being a Air Force veteran, it was a very special weekend.
You get ready for the football game, and you know when you play Navy that possessions are going to be at a premium. That's the big thing they do. We saw it in the second half, of course. But the first possession, you guys started off with a great drive, cap it off with that touchdown to Audric Estime. You guys, I think, have been getting off to much better starts offensively since the beginning of the season. What did you like on that drive, and how satisfied are you with the way you're starting games now?
It was a really satisfying drive, just because it got into a point. It was a 4th-and-1 situation, and you know, it was like, do we punt? It's the first 4th down of the game. It was 4th-and-1. I said, let's be aggressive, let's go for it, and we were able to convert. And then a couple plays later, hit Audric versus an all-out pressure right up the middle. It was great execution, and that's how you got to start, you know. And it really kind of propelled that whole first half to get 35 points.
You get 7 there, then you get the stop. Then on the next drive, and this is a guy I want to talk about, we're going to talk about two things. First, the touchdown catch by Braden Lenzy. Rank it as far as best catches you've ever seen, and then how great was it to see him kind of break out and have a performance, because he's a veteran on this team that maybe hasn't had the numbers he wanted this year, but he got a great game in this one against Navy.
Yeah, he's just a great example of resiliency and a guy that has just continued to prepare his tail off. You know, that position of wide receiver is one you have to be unselfish, because you can do everything perfectly and never get a reward for it. And for him to get the reward because of the way he prepares and the way he executed the game was really great to see. As far as a catch, it's got to be one. I don't know if I've ever seen a catch like that. It kind of, my view was kind of blocked from it when it happened in the game. But then I saw it on replay, and I'm like, are you serious? You know, for him to catch the ball like that, and it was a huge moment for us.
I got to say, I was most impressed. He pinned it on the back and then managed to just palm it with one hand. That's what really blew me away. So they get a touchdown to make it 14-6. You mentioned receiver being a position that you have to be unselfish, and it takes a while to come along. I thought on this next drive, Deion Colsey a big catch, Jaden Thomas a big catch on 3rd and long. What excites you about the development of those two guys, but the whole room coming along here in the second half of the year?
Yeah, they're continuing to improve, and that's the challenge we have for our entire team, but that room specifically is how do we get better and better, and what they're doing is they're gaining confidence from their quarterback, and that every 3rd down, maybe you're not looking for 87, he might be double or triple covered, and you have the confidence to go through your progression and be able to throw the ball to some of those wideouts. And so they're doing a great job of taking advantage of their opportunities. opportunities, and they're helping us perform.
A little bit later in the second quarter, Navy had the ball back after one of your drives ended in a missed field goal. And I thought Clarence Lewis made a really impressive interception. We're going to get a chance to look at it in Irish Intel later, but the amount of ground he covered on that kind of trick play they tried to run. Just tell me what you saw in that play and how impressive it was to see him go really sideline to sideline to make the pick.
Yeah, I kind of just saw them throw the reverse, and I'm like, okay, they're just running reverse. And I couldn't see the quarterback, but I did see the guy that had the ball getting ready to set up the throw, and I'm like, uh-oh. And I looked, and out of nowhere, I see Clarence Lewis come out of nowhere and catch that ball, and it was a great play for us. I think it was on the first play of the possession.
Yeah.
And so huge momentum shift, and that interception, the next play, we end up scoring a touchdown to Jaden Thomas, and that was a huge play for us to kind of just settle down a little bit and extend this lead that we had.
We're going to get a chance to look at the play in Irish Intel too. We just talked about Jaden Thomas, but I thought maybe the best ball Drew's thrown, at least in this game and in a long time, on that route to Jaden down the middle. Just talk me through that play, and to get that touchdown, give you a 3-touchdown lead going into halftime had to be big.
Yeah, we actually ran that play earlier in the game, and Drew didn't hit him, but he was wide open. And so the ability for Coach Reese to call that play again where you can get Jaden one-on-one on a safety, and Jaden ran a great route to stick him outside and come inside, which we'll watch later. Drew put it right where it needed to be. Jaden made a great play, and through Drew, just the course of the season, some highs, some lows, and the ability for him to respond when things don't go well has been really good. And so for him to perform that way in the first half was tremendous, and it's been really good for our team.
Last one I have, it's Navy-centric too, is at the end of the game, it's one of the unique things you guys share in the alma maters with each other out there on the field. This is your first time as the head coach, but I know you were part of it last year. The symbolism of that, just what's it mean to you as the head coach at Notre Dame?
Well, it's special. It's a great reminder that this game we love doesn't define our lives, and that there's so much more to life than just a game of football, although at times we feel like this is the only thing that matters in life. And, to embrace and have that moment with that football team, to sing our alma mater and to sing their alma mater was a special moment. And it's a great reminder, but one you won't forget.
Coach, appreciate it. We'll step aside and come back with more on this week's edition of Inside Notre Dame Football, presented by TireRack.com. Welcome back to Inside Notre Dame Football, presented by TireRack.com. It's now time for this week's edition of Irish Access.
One play, one life. 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 That's all our focus is.
Attack the ball. Attack the ball. They're going to put the ball up. I promise you that. Don't get bored. They're going to put the ball up. When they put the ball up, we got to make them pay.
How about Navy? A little pitch back and a throw to our line. It's intercepted. Navy tried a trick play and just beautifully played by Clarence Lewis, who picked it off.
How about Clarence Lewis? I mean, covering basically sideline to sideline. It is a perfect play call by Navy. Just a better play by Clarence Lewis.
Good luck, good luck, good luck, good luck.
Salerno is deep, but let's see if Notre Dame gets close.
The punt is blocked. Notre Dame gets another one. Their 7th of the year.
Just put the shields, but just reach up.
It comes down to this. Notre Dame was ready for that one. So the Irish come up with the ball, and that, for Brian Mason and the special teams unit, will save the game for Notre Dame.
He stepped up when the game was on the line, okay? The game was on the line, and he had to recover the onside kick, okay? A journeyman, understand that, okay? A journeyman.
It's been my dream to play at Notre Dame for my whole life, so, coming back for a 5th year, it's a dream come true, and I appreciate everyone in this room believing in me, and, I love playing with you guys, so thank you.
So Tariq, the defense over the last month, I think, has been playing really well. I know in the first 3 games you guys didn't have any takeaways, but now suddenly it seems like you guys are getting multiple takeaways each and every week. Just from your standpoint, what's been the biggest key to the change in you guys taking the ball away a little bit more?
we hone on it in practice. Coach always stresses about, it's all about the ball, anyway, whether punching it, getting an interception, whatever. It's just actually being intentional about your work. I think once we started doing that during the course of the season, we were able to get those turnovers, make big plays, score on defense. So just seeing it all come together, is great, and it builds confidence for our defense. So it's been going well so far.
You're one of the more solid and reliable players on the defensive side of the football, and you're someone who seems like you've gotten better every single year since you've been on campus. Just tell me, how have you as a player been able to evolve and improve every single year with Notre Dame?
Yeah, just trying to reflect back on the season before, what I need to work on, what are some weaknesses I can, make into strengths. So, just getting in the film room and practicing every day on the craft, and that's just, I want to get better every year, just always find something to get better at, and that's just with life in general. So, yeah, I think that's been helpful for me.
You've got some really talented young guys in the secondary, too, that are on this year's roster, and you're a veteran now. So what's your role been with them, trying to help them come along to the college level?
Trying to tell them, not to get too high or too low, especially in a position we play, there's some great receivers in college football, and sometimes, you're gonna get beat for a touchdown, and that's just happened, that's part of ball. So just, trying to give them that mental side of the game, because talent's there, they came in during fall camp and they, proved themselves they belong on the field. So that's been a real help for our defense, being able to get in more DBs and safeties and being able to switch around.
I want to ask you about your time at Notre Dame. You're wrapping up here, finishing up your eligibility. You've been a part of some great moments. As you reflect upon your time here, just what are some of the moments that come to mind?
Just being in the locker room with the boys, those memories you can't really, emulate and recreate. So having that is just great. And then, just my time here, all the people I've met, the connections I've been able to build, it's been great for me. This is my home, so my second home. So I cherish the moments that I have, with my brothers and all the friends that I've made.
Still a couple games left this season. I want to know from your standpoint, as a leader on this team, how do you make sure you guys finish this season the right way?
The whole team knows, finish strong, Coach Bayless, he's instilled that in us, since we got to school. So just being able to, I think we have a good understanding, being able to finish strong and just see where the rest of the season takes us.
Tariq, thanks for the time and appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Welcome back to Inside Notre Dame Football, presented by TireRack.com. It's now time for this week's edition of Irish Intel, where we go inside the play. Coach, this is the first touchdown of the game. Audric Estime is going to catch the ball out of the backfield. Explain to me how he gets so open and takes it into the end zone.
Well, I think at this moment we think we're getting all-out pressure, which we end up getting, but they pop a couple guys out, which you weren't really prepared for. Audric was able to slip inside, droop. That was a great ball here. We kind of ran a similar play earlier in the year, I think, versus Cal. It might have been to Tyree, but the ability to really just sneak him out versus this all-out pressure. This is an all-out pressure beater, and he does a really good job of getting inside that dropping defensive lineman, catching the ball and going to score. And another thing that I didn't say is Drew's ability to drift here. Right, if you stay in the pocket and you just get your feet planted, you're going to take a sack. But Drew continues to drift back, and just gets
just buying time,
so Audric can get out.
So, Coach, this is a really big third down. You guys convert to extend a drive here that eventually leads to points. Deion Colsey's going to make the catch. He's really come on for you lately. Show me how he gets open.
Well, we knew third down, we were going to get all-out pressure. They were going to drop out guys. And right here, they're playing some zone coverage, and we wanted to hit the digs, which is about a 15-yard route behind the backers. And we have to have good protection here, but Deion does a great job of getting behind the dropping linebackers here into that open space between the linebackers and the safeties, and Drew throws a great ball here, and we have great protection.
So, Coach, this is an interception by Clarence Lewis. What impressed me most is that he starts on the far side of the field. I remember Kyle Hamilton last year covered a lot of ground. This is now a corner making the play. Explain to me what he reads and how it enables him to come over and make the pick.
Yeah, it's crazy how football works sometimes. In reality, this is a zero coverage, which means that Clarence Lewis has the guy that he's on right now, man to man. His guy goes on a reverse is what he's thinking, so he's going over top of the backers here. But what he's able to do is see the quarterback leak out, and so he kind of aborts and says, forget taking the guy that I had man to man. I'm going to get into a position where I can take this quarterback that's wide open. And it's a great play. You really don't draw it up this way, but it's a great football play. Some things that happen in football you can't draw up. You can't just practice every day a reverse pass to the quarterback, but the ability for Clarence to go over top of the backers and see the quarterback running free and improvise and make a play.
So is this almost the guy he was covering became the passer, and the passer then, he in his head just said, that's going to become my responsibility once he saw him leak out and came across the field to make the play?
Exactly right. That's a great way to put it.
Unbelievable. I can't believe it. Great play. Okay, Coach, 5th and final touchdown of the first half. You win the middle 8 with this score to Jaden Thomas. Really, we're going to get a great look at it here. The route he runs, but also tell me the whole concept that leads to the score.
Yeah, right after the punt block, this was huge to get the ball on the 37-yard line. And we had done some research. They like to run some quarters coverage on P and 10. It's what first play of the possession. And what Jaden does is a great job of selling an inside slant route, gets the corner, the safety to bite a little bit, and then beats him vertical. And Drew throws another great ball here, and Jaden makes a great play. As you see it, the safety's still responsible for diving down it. If Jaden runs a slant here, the safety's responsible for making this play. He's got number 2 man-to-man almost in quarters. Now Jaden, what he does, he gets him to commit down, and then when
with
he runs
slant, right
exactly
there.
right, and he runs right by him.
Wow. When we come back, we'll have more on this week's edition of Inside Notre Dame Football, presented by TireRack.com. It's time to wrap up this week and this season of Inside Notre Dame Football, presented by TireRack.com. Coach, you get ready for Boston College here. 2 regular season games left. This is going to be senior day, of course, in Notre Dame Stadium. So as you get ready for BC, what's the focus on how you guys are trying to send the seniors off with a good taste in their mouth?
Yeah, there's nothing more important than making sure we finish this home finale here the right way and seeing the seniors off the right way, as you said. And it's going to come down to preparation. It's going to come down to making sure we are prepared and we're ready to go, and that we go out and we play at a high level on Saturday. And it's a great challenge we have ahead of us. The best thing that could have happened was Boston College beat North Carolina State because they have our attention. And then you turn on the film, you realize they're a really good football team too. And so we have a great challenge, which every week usually for us is a great challenge, and we're excited for it here at Notre Dame Stadium.
10 games in to your first season. What are the things that come to mind? What's maybe the main emotion or the main memory you have so far this year when you think back to your first season as a head coach?
Well, I think I said this to the team last week. It says you got to stay in the middle. And what's that mean is that victory and defeat cannot sway you off of the preparation of things that matter. And you cannot let things that don't dictate the future of the next game impact you. And you know, after 2 games here, you might have thought the world was falling. And the ability for our guys to be resilient, to stay the course, to continue to fix the mistakes that we've had and address the issues is a big reason why we've had a turnaround. And so it's every week's challenging. Every week presents its new set of challenges. But as long as we are urgent in terms of how to fix the mistakes, in terms of how we evaluate and everything we do, we'll have a great chance to be successful.
Coach, appreciate it. Good luck with the rest of the season. We'll talk to you next year.
Thank you.
All right, that does it for this season of Inside Notre Dame Football, presented by TireRack.com.